So yes, welcome to this to today's Tech Dev Circle with the topic Mastering Developer Certifications. I'm going to be your host and speaker because I tend to talk a lot about interesting topics, and this is one of the topics that I have been working on over the last few months and years. So I guess I hope this is also interesting for you. It's about how we can get certified as developers and if that even makes sense. And I use the AWS certifications as a concrete example. So if you are planning to get certified by AWS, this is your talk. If you already have some certifications in AWS, this is also your talk because you can help me out with some specifics. But before we dive into the actual topic, this is the event's website. As you can see, this is partly in German, so the website in itself is in German. I'm going to change that because we spontaneously decided to do this in English because we have lots of visitors that are not from Germany. This series of events is normally taking place every first Tuesday in the month. As you can see, there are exceptions. So the last time Harry was here, we talked about Kafka and New Relic, and this was kind of an exception here, and it was in English. So now it's the first Tuesday in the month again, and there is one more before the summer begins next or the first month of next week's next month Tuesday. So, and it's about GitOps. So you can already download an iCall file here. And I don't know, this will most likely be in German, but maybe we can get this in English as well. Okay. The new version of this event is slightly different from what was here previously. So as you can see here, I try to add information, kind of meta information for every topic we talk about, so that you can understand what state it is in the Gartner hype cycle and what level of career should you have to get in touch with this topic. So because we are talking about certifications, the Gartner hype cycle doesn't really make sense. So because I'm using the AWS cloud provider as an example, you could of course say that AWS is as the biggest cloud provider in the somewhere here. So it is really old, and you can of course use it. And regarding this pyramid here, there is most of it is in German though. So I think that certifications are interesting for you at the beginner's level, but also at the higher levels, as I will talk about in the, I think, second or third slide. So just as an orientation for you, this topic is of interest for, kind of every level of your career. All right, so much for the housekeeping topics. One thing, though, if you are here from Meetup, which is great that this finally is kicking off, please rate this event. You don't have to rate it, but it's always nice to have ratings here. However, I noticed in the past that the ratings were kind of like 3 stars with no comment what was bad or what was not so good. So I don't understand that. Please add at least a line or use these tags provided by the platform so that I can so that I have a chance to enhance this this event series. All right. And yeah, this is it for the housekeeping topics. If you have any questions, please interrupt me or just write something in the chat, and then I will answer the questions as quickly as possible. All right, but now to the topic. We are going to get hopefully certified soon. So I am Steven Schwenke. I am this time the host of this series of events, which I am organizing for more than 10 years. And it originally was located in Wolfsburg in Germany and then in Brunswick. And we had some bigger events around this series. So it is kind of old. And I'm also a full-time developer slash architect slash tech lead, whatever you can call someone who is doing this for more than 15 years. Solution architect is the term I tend to use when it's about AWS, because solution architect is one of the terms of AWS. And I am also a passionate software craftsman, which means that I love to share my knowledge. This is why I'm organizing this. This is purely private. There are no sponsors or whatsoever. And this is only for community reasons, because I think that the IT has the greatest community of all branches, because we tend to share our knowledge and experiences freely. And this is really a nice thing. And the problem with me is that I lied. So for years and years, and I'm working with senior developers as well as with junior developers, and I told explicitly junior developers, and I also worked at the university once, gave lectures over 2 semesters, and I told my students that certifications are only interesting at the very beginning of your career. So if you are in the process of studying, then it's interesting to have some certifications on the side, maybe, for example, in Java, because Java is quite well known. And this is for when you are getting hired for your first job, then you can just say, okay, I'm not a normal student, but I did something extra, so here's my certification. But later I argued the projects that you are publishing on, for example, GitHub, or the list of projects that you do for your employer, this is way more interesting for future employers, and this is why you don't have to invest in certifications. This was up until around the end of 2023, so around 2 years ago. And then I noticed that we have some kind of crisis. So there are many layoffs starting in 2023, and this is continuing. And in Germany, it's especially critical, because the whole automotive industry is kind of crashing down right now. And this, of course, involves the IT branch. And I noticed that when you are applying for a new job, then these certifications, or the absence of certifications, can be a filter. So you get filtered out when you don't have the necessary certifications or the wanted certifications. And on the same side, it is increasingly simple to get certified. For example, by online courses, there are also a lot of free content out there, especially from AWS. So AWS really wants you to learn their platform and to get engaged with them. So this is really easy today. So when I noticed that, I thought, okay, I have a secure job. I don't really need to get certified, but yeah, maybe it's a good investment, because when you are getting certified, when you learn stuff structurally, you can apply it more easily, and it's simply a good roadmap to be certified, or to get certified, and to learn new topics. So let's have a brief look over some certifications, and as you can see, I divided them into methodologically and technically. So the first one is, for example, of course, Scrum. So the whole world of software engineering is working agile now. So you have the 2 big providers of the certifications for agile working, Scrum.org and Scrum Alliance. And if you are working in big companies with big clients as companies, then you could also be interested in LESS, which is a large-scale Scrum framework. And of course, there is these, for example, testing frameworks, the ITQB, the Certified Tester Foundation level, which is really widely known. And when you are doing something with testing, it's a good idea to invest in that. So this is to improve your methods. And then there are, of course, a lot of technical certifications. For example, when it's about programming Java, I mentioned that before. So it's back owned by Oracle now, so you can get a Oracle Certified Associate certifications. And also because I was using AWS in the past, and the Lambda functions are often written in Python. And then there are, of course, the architecture certifications. The most famous one, at least here in Germany, is the ISAQB. CPSAF, which stands for International Standardization Architecture Qualification Board, and CPSA is for the Certified, I think, Professional Software Architect. The F is for foundation. So there are two levels for this certification. And the foundational one is, I think, if I remember correctly, the only existing one, because the professional, the second layer, they did not organize that yet, but I may be wrong. And then it is about, of
There
course, cloud.
should be advanced.
There should be an advanced.
The architecture is foundation, and advanced are what is existing, and I think the next level is what is being developed.
Ah, all right. Thanks. Okay. Yes, okay, that makes sense because I know someone who is providing the advanced trainings. All right. Thanks. So this is how it works, by the way, in this event here. So please voice your concerns or interrupt me if I'm saying something wrong. Yeah, and then the cloud providers, the three huge ones, so AWS, Azure, and GCP. This is, of course, a good idea to invest in that. And so I thought, okay, Scrum, I did that a while ago. Actually, I kind of stumbled into a Scrum Master certification, but this is really a lot of years ago. And although I am a huge fan of the Agile framework or Agile mindset, I am not really a hands-on Scrum guide or a Scrum product owner. So yeah, maybe not. The Python certification is on my bucket list. And what I really wanted to focus on is, of course, AWS. So this is what we are going to focus on. But before we do that, I have, of course, some questions for you. So I'm going to launch the first of two polls, which should be really easy to answer. So the one question is, how many certificates do you have? So including all of the providers, including methods and technology, just to get an idea of how well you are certified. Wow, okay. So around 75% of you have 2 to 5 certifications, which is impressive. And then there are 25% of you who has a zero certification. So this may be of interest for especially the latter one, but maybe also for the ones trying to achieve higher level certification. So thank you for that. Let's continue with the actual how do you get certified? So I divided this process in a couple of phases, and just to have some structure in this approach. Phase 0, I called it preliminary research, and this is all about understanding the certification landscape. So it's kind of the slide that we saw earlier. What are there for certifications, and what should you focus on? The when we focus on AWS, so why should we focus on AWS? Because it is the one huge, the biggest cloud provider, public cloud provider with the most services and the most up-to-date services. And it has a market share of 30%, with Azure in a close follow. But it is, my opinion is that AWS will have the lead for, yeah, some more years, maybe after that also. As you can see here, there are a lot of services provided by AWS, and it is increasing. So recently they added a lot of AI services. Everyone is adding a lot of AI stuff right now, but AWS in particular. And this is a whole new kind of chapter, and there are also spawned 2 new certifications for those specific topic. So let's have a look at how AWS structures their certification landscape. So as you can see here, there are 4 layers or levels of certifications, beginning with the foundational, the associate, then the professional and specialty. And basically the foundational is really to get to know AWS. They actually recently changed um, their thinking of when does it make sense to get certified in this foundational layer. Before, I think they wrote that you have at least 6 months or up to 6 months experience, hands-on experience with the AWS cloud, and then it makes sense to be certified. But now they said, okay, it's all right if you don't have any experience, get certified, and then you will learn on your way. And the other certification levels are increasingly difficult, increasingly complex, and they really want to make you learn the inner workings of this platform to be certified for the later levels. And this brings us to the second of 2 polls. So I'm going to release that. Where is it here? Because I want to know from you, of these levels, are you certified for AWS? So the first question is, I don't have any AWS, or the first option is, I don't have any AWS certifications. And then the 4 levels that you can see here, foundational, associate, professional, and specialty. And I see that none of you has actually any experience with AWS certifications, which is great. I should have added the second question, who of you plan to do this? But I guess because you are here, maybe some of you at least think about that. Okay. Then as you can see here, there are always the sources of these page I took the screenshots from, and this is where you can just get the most important information about this. I'm going to release the slides, obviously, and of course the recording, so that you can read up after this talk. All right. What is also interesting, because you can see there are a lot of certifications and they are really time consuming. So the question is, what certifications are you attacking in what order? And relatively new, at least I saw it just recently, there is an AWS certification journey PDF. It's kind of hidden under some strange URL, as you can see down here, but it's really interesting. So it maps from starting from the role that you have or that you want to have, the list of certifications, what really makes sense. As you can see here, the solution architect, as I said, when introducing myself, is one of the terms of the roles, or how you describe the role when you are an architect for AWS. And they all start with the cloud practitioner and then maybe the AI practitioner, which is this new certification focusing on AI, and then going on to the solution architect associate, for example, and then the professional, and then you can call yourself a solution architect for AWS. Which I, by the way, am not. So for total transparency, I only have the first 2, because, yeah, simply put, I don't take the time to get certified when working on the projects. One word though for the AI practitioner, going back here, this is the second certification in the foundational layer. And I really highly recommend it, because it is not only about the AI services provided by AWS, it is really about how AI is working, what are the most important concepts and terms. So if you are interested in AI, and you should be, from my opinion, as a developer, you should be really interested in AI, then this is a good investment of your time to have the AI practitioner, even if you don't plan to use AWS later. All right, not going through all of them, but as you can see here, data analytics and of course the development is relatively simple, as it seems. So the cloud practitioner and also again the AI practitioner, because AWS wants to integrate a lot of AI services into the normal development workflow. So there's an increasing number of services that is enhanced by AI, and you really have to know what this is all about. And as you can see here, there's also a path for the system administrator, cloud engineer, and then in the realm of DevOps, whatever DevOps means, because when you are working on AWS, then from my opinion, you are really, really a DevOps engineer. Here, the test engineer, DevSecOps, and even the specialty of security. So if you want to deep dive into this, there is also a advanced networking specialty. So there is a lot to do here. And here's the AI ML. You can be a prompt engineer, machine learning engineer, data scientist. And so there is basically a roadmap for all of your dream jobs to get certified. But it all comes down to the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, which is the first and the basic level next to the AI practitioner. But even when you are attacking the AI practitioner, the cloud practitioner, you should do this first. As you can see here in the red box, this is a good starting point on the AWS certification journal. So you can see the rest of this talk as an introduction on how to get certified as a cloud practitioner, but this also should work for other certifications. All right. So this is phase 0 finished. We basically thought about what certifications do make sense for our situation. And as an example for this talk, we want to be certified as a cloud practitioner. Entering phase 1. I have good experience when in first learning kind of broadly to see the whole landscape and understand what what the big picture is. So the goal is getting an overview over every important topic. How do we do that? There is this one guy, this one guy you cannot get around. I mean, you can get around, but you should not get around him when wanting to get certified as an AWS cloud practitioner, Stefan Marek. So he is selling courses on Udemy for ages, and he is very, very successful. So as you can see here, this course is a bestseller. It's highly rated. It has over 1 million students. And when you are not familiar with Udemy, this is one of these huge open learning platforms. And danger on this platform, because there is a high price and there is a low price. Don't pay the high price ever. Do this. If you are logging into this platform and you see any price above, let's say 15 euros, wait a day or two, and then they will find some excuse to lower the price. So I don't know, for several holidays, or when the summer is here, or when, I don't know, the moon is full or whatever. So you only pay, in my experience, up to, I think the highest that I saw was 13.99, so 14 euros. And this is all you have to buy. What do you get for your money? And I don't get anything from Stefan. I just finished several of his courses, and they were really great. You get a lot of video material. So where is this? It's 14.5 hours on demand video, and he's talking quite fast, and it is really dense material. So you really have to crunch your way through this, and it really makes sense to do this. So how do you get on with this Udemy course? First, create an AWS account. It is not strictly necessary, but from my experience, it really makes sense. You can translate this point if you want to get certified to any other, I don't know, programming language or platform. Create an account at this platform, or set up your IDE to have this programming language, because you really need hands-on experience, at least when it goes to AWS. Click around in the web console to find your way through the web console and see how everything fits together. The problem, though, is that when you create an AWS account, you need a credit card, and you have to enter the number of this credit card at the very beginning, because, of course, they say, okay, if you start services, it's going to cost some kind of money. So they want to be able to bill you immediately for this. But it is possible to get through this whole course without paying anything. How this works is I think, the first one or two videos in this course from Stefan. And also, if you go to YouTube and Google AWS account free tier or Stefan Marek account setup, something like this, you end up with exactly this video. It is for free on YouTube, and then you can learn how to really quickly set up alerts and limits so that you don't get to pay anything for your working on AWS. If this is really important, you should invest that, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Then going to watch this Udemy course step by step, and optionally use the AWS account to click around in the web console. So web console is the name for logging into AWS and seeing all of the services and being able to manipulate cloud resources. This is called the web console. And then create flashcards. What flashcards are and what they are good for and what they are really terrible for, we will have a look at later. But it is a good idea to have this flow when you learn a new concept, create a flashcard, or at least write this concept down somewhere and to be able to learn it later. So going to flashcards. There is another free app, free, and there's a price tag on this slide, right? Which is called Anki. Anki is an open source project. I'm not really sure about this, but I think it is an open source project that you can find on ankiweb.net. And you can download the Mac OS and Windows and Linux version for free. However, when you want to have it on iOS, it's going to cost you money. So the base idea about that is that you have a node deck. So a node is basically a learning card with in the basic version a front side and the back side. And the question is on the front side, then you flip it over, have the answer on the back side, and then you can think in between, okay, what should be the answer? You all maybe did that in school, and this is a very powerful tool if you use it correctly. I did not, so I'm basically kind of in the process of learning how to use it correctly, but more on that later. Because it's a free project and because they are doing really awesome work, so this is a powerful tool. They want to get the money for running their servers because Anki has a synchronization mechanism that you get for free, or if you buy the app, I don't know. And once built with 29.99, you are able to sync your cards between all of your devices, which is really good because you can create your cards on a laptop or on a desktop machine, and you can learn while traveling or outside from home on your mobile devices. And this is really a key to great learning. Anki is based on the concept of spaced repetition, which means that you are not trying to cram every knowledge, every piece of knowledge into your head at once, but you, after creating your learning cards, you can learn them once. And if you are successful, so if you get the right answer or you didn't get the right answer, depending on how easy it was, so you can rate how easy it was to remember what the right answer is. It's going to calculate that you are confronted with this card either in 1 minute or in 5 minutes or even in, I don't know, a couple of days. And this gets the distance between this cards gets larger and larger. So that the goal is that you are not going to have to learn hundreds of cards every day, but that it makes it easier to just skip the cards that you are familiar with. However, it's really not that easy. I learned that kind of the hard way. So my AWS deck has around 600 cards right now. And even with the spaced repetition, it is really the case when I'm not going to learn the cards for a couple of days, they kind of pile up and I would have to invest hours and hours every day to just work on this huge pile that Anki throws at me. So you have to be careful. However, first of all, how do you create these cards basically? So as I said, you create them on your MacBook or on your local machine. So I'm an Apple guy, so I'm doing this on my MacBook and learn on my iPad because the iPad has a huger screen. And if you And you should do that if you add images and diagrams onto your cards. It's just easier to read those when you have an iPad, but it's also okay if you have just a phone. You are able to edit your cards and format them with HTML, and this is what you should do, because there's a catch. When you copy paste stuff from elsewhere, it always takes with it the HTML. So the workflow for me is that I'm going to copy paste stuff from wherever, put it in the text box here, and then have a look at the HTML and basically, yeah, do a lot of HTML fixing later. But you do this only once, so it's kind of okay. Screenshots, code snippets, diagrams, and this is, for example, as you can see here, this is a typical card in the preview mode. So a question is, how are concurrency bursts managed in Lambda? So Lambda is, if you're not familiar with it, is a serverless service on AWS that basically lets you compute stuff in massively in parallel, and it is creating new computing instances depending on how many requests there are in a certain amount of time. And as you can see here, I took the screenshots. I don't know if it's from the from Stefan's course or if it's from the website. So I put it here, and then I have a visual clue on what the right answer is or how it should look like. Talking about making screenshots from YouTube videos, this is not possible with all videos. So there is, at least working on my MacBook, I noticed that I'm not able to create screenshots for every YouTube video. There's only a black area where the YouTube video is supposed to be. So this may be not possible because of some kind of copyright mechanism that YouTube provides. Next, when you are writing those cards, you should have the context in the question. So regarding AWS, I always try to scram the service in if the question is not really service specific. So for example, if the question is something like, what storage classes are in S3? I do not have to explicitly name S3, or even if the question would only be, what storage classes does the object store provide? It's kind of implicit that it's about S3. However, there are questions that make it difficult to think or to remember, okay, what service is this all about? So I'm going to provide it with the name of the service. And for example, questions about AI, if they are kind of vague, I try to add that too, maybe even in parentheses. Then it is really important to ask specific questions and that they have mutually exclusive answers. So this is something that comes later in this talk. It is really hard to ask the right questions on your flashcards. Because when you're using Anki, you have to answer how easy it was to give the answer to the card, so that the spaced repetition algorithm can determine when this topic is presented to you next, or the actual card. So you have to decide, okay, was my answer really correct, or was it kind of correct? Did I get, I don't know, 4 out of 5 correct bullet points? So this is really difficult, and you have to simply get your hands on and see how it goes and how it works for you. What also is a good idea is to have screenshots from the AWS web console as a visual clue for the real work that comes later on. This is why I propose to create this AWS account, even if you don't create actual services. So a good thing to do is go to the web console and try to create a service, but the very last step, there is also always a colorful button when it actually says, okay, now you are going to create something and to instantiate some instance that will be built or whatever. So you notice when you are going to produce cost for yourself, and you can just click cancel right up when you are supposed to click this button. And the stuff that you see, you can screenshot and put on your flashcards. So for me, it's helping me, for example, remember, okay, I don't know, QuickSight was this thing with all of the diagrams. And the EC2s, there is a huge list of options, for example, about networking, about the instance type, when I'm creating an instance. So this basically helps me, really simple examples here, to notice what this service is all about. And of course, you can add arrows and markers. For example, when I'm, what is this all about? CloudWatch embedded metric format. So you can here define an alarm of some kind. So this is down here, and it helps me to remember, okay, there is this one screen with this graph, and then down there, there is some kind of alarming system. This is how it's working for me. And then you can use tagging. So down here, you can add tags for every card, and you should definitely do that because Anki is organized in decks. So you can create a number of decks, and each deck is about one topic. So I have a deck about for AWS, and in this deck I have a lot of tags. For example, naming the services that this card is all about. And as you can see here, there are also questions that have multiple tags. This makes it easy, for example, to find duplicates. You know, when you are learning and you are vaguely remembering that this actual card that you're trying to answer now, you vaguely remember, okay, 5 minutes ago there was a really similar question. So what was that all about? You can go to your laptop where you have this nice bigger version of this app and just filter for the service, and then you can find your duplicate. And of course, there are multiple node types. The basic I told you, it's just like a flip card. So there's a front and there's a back. Front has the question, back has the answer. But there are also questions that you can ask, or situations that you should have both of these sides. So for example, the back could say something like, well, I have a list of items, and the back says the common term of these number of items. And this can be also used from the other side. So you can have the term and wanted to remember the list of items that are included. This is when you should use the basic and reversed card type. This brings Anki to presenting you the back and then asking you, sorry, presenting you the front, asking you for the back, and vice versa. So you don't have to create two cards with the same content. Makes it easier to upgrade them. Okay, some mindset and habits, because yeah, this helps you a lot, but not all of the way. It's a good thing to have a walk through the whole Udemy course once. So try to get once to the end. And the most important topics, you have to understand them. And then in between, you should collect all of the knowledge sources that are either mentioned in the course or that you come that come to you when you are trying to learn this stuff. So, for example, Victoria Seaman, she is the developer relations at AWS, or one of them, and she really shares great content on LinkedIn. For example, free courses, free or limited resources that you can use to learn AWS with. And she's also a huge fan of AI, so she has frequently presented how easy it is to use AI for working with AWS. And this is a good thing to do, to follow her. And also you have lots and lots of YouTube videos, and are they influencers? If they influence you to use AWS, maybe. So this is what you definitely should do to get just the overview and some more overall knowledge to be up to date for your topic. This, of course, also holds true for learning any other topic, of course. There are a lot of free courses and content out there today. All right. Do you have questions or remarks up until this point? Okay, V, if you are saying something, we really don't understand you. Maybe just use another microphone.
Oh, sorry, I haven't
Yes.
got any questions, so I just forgot to mute me. No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, so if you have, use the chat or unmute yourself. All right. After this first phase, for me, it worked to deepen my knowledge because you can, of course, be successfully certified when only having this one through over the Udemy course. But for me, it really helps tremendously to kind of add something on top of this Udemy course. And this is what this chapter is all about. So after having finished the course, the first thing I want to do is learn through the Anki deck, including the repetitions. So, as I said, it's a spaced repetition tooling. So, if you are opening this app a day later, there are new cards coming up. So, of course, there are your cards, but you have to learn them the day later. And I try to empty this. You have to do this today stack, and this includes the repetitions. So I try to have, I don't know, 3 or 4 days in a row that I have completed all of the current notes. Then I'm going to implement a daily habit. This is basically what I just talked about. So implement a daily habit, getting to 0 open cards over 3 or 4 days, and then have the following in the loop. As a daily exercise, research every open question. So this can be done via Perplexity or YouTube. Perplexity is a great AI search engine that works in most cases better than better than Google for me. And if you are finding yourself in repeating the same note over and over again without making any progress in learning it, it's often best to research it more to understand the links between the concepts of this note and to kind of add it to the web that you have in your head, consisting out of topics and that are related to each other somehow. Refining the cards is also very important. So the first version of a card is rarely the best version of this card. So if you find yourself in adding screenshots or adding tags or just even making the card smaller because you notice that, okay, the time I created this card and I did not understand the concept fully, I had a lot of wordy notes there, and now I understand the concept, and it's possible to just reduce the content on the card. It is really powerful. You should have at the least amount of content on each card. This is really important, and also on your notes because it has to stay up here and not on the notes. And then enhance your knowledge. So use anything to get your hands on this. For example, at podcast listening, talk with people about what you are learning, and this as a daily ongoing habit over how long it takes you to feel confident about the topic. All right, so enhancing our knowledge. Let's see what we can do here. So AWS, as I previously said, provides you with a ton of material, and they really get out of their way to build stuff that makes it easy for you to learn their platform. For example, there is this AWS Cloud Quest. You could say it's a game, but don't say it to your boss because it's a learning environment, you know. But it looks like a game, so it's really fun. It is in browser and it's a 3D environment where you can walk around a city and you have to do tasks to enhance the city. And as you can see, it's kind of playful. There are animals running around. You can talk with entities there and interact with them. And it includes lab situations where you can, for example, have a provisioned AWS temporary environment that you can use to build your resources and learn about this task you have been given. And there are also architectural games, for example, that you learn how to use a service by understanding what the service is good for, and then trying to combine those architectural diagrams here. And it is with really high quality explanations. It's with a ton of reward systems. So for example, this giraffe that you see, it may, I'm not sure, but you can have this giraffe as a pet. So it's following you. Yeah. Whoever wanted to say, okay, a giraffe followed me, then you have to go to AWS Cloud Quest. And you can find it, of course, at the Amazon page. Then, well, speaking about this Amazon page, the AWS training website is free to use for a lot of topics, but not for all of them. If you go there and if you click the sign in button on the top right, you get confronted with a lot of options to sign in. They are all different, and the thing that you have to notice is when you are doing this individually, so not with your employer or with another company, use the so-called builder ID. It says here in the screenshot recommended for individuals. This is what you want to have. The other options are basically for when you are working for a company that is an AWS partner. So companies can partner up with AWS, providing them lots of benefits and special stuff. But if you are not working for that company, the builder ID is your friend. Okay, the next thing to notice is the AWS Skill Builder. So this is where you land after you sign in. And the Skill Builder is basically some kind of Udemy, or it's similar to Udemy. So there are lots of courses or content pieces, and you can use a lot of them for free. There's also kind of a paid tier for the Skill Builder that you get for later and higher level certifications. But when your focus is on the cloud practitioner, then you get all of this for free that you need for this certification. On the left side, you can find under this filter button a lot of interesting stuff. This is just mentioned here. So when you click the course level to fundamental, then you get a lot of courses that are for free and that help you to get this certificate for the practitioner levels. And also, I think I have this on a later screenshot. Yeah, here. There are badges. So there are courses that don't get you a real certification, but you get a badge. And a badge is something that you can showcase on Credly. Credly is an independent platform, and it's about showcasing what certifications you have. I think most of you are familiar with that because you mentioned that you have already some kind of certifications, and you should always keep your Credly account up to date. This is a good idea, and maybe even link it to your LinkedIn profile or your website to have others find it more easily. All right. Another thing that they provide, which maybe falls under the term gamified learning content, is the Card Clash program application. So it looks like this. It also looks like a game, but it's really fun. So the thing that I mentioned in the Cloudcast is this one image where you had the architectural or the service icons, and you had to move them to this architectural diagram. Basically, Card Clash is focusing on this concept, and you have a ton of interesting architectures that always have some real case scenario behind them. So for example, here you can see in the area, in the gray area, there it says highly available web application. So your goal is in this game or in this gamified situation that you use the cards that you have on the bottom of the screen and fill this this architectural diagram, and by that learn how to how each service is used. So for example, DynamoDB, which is used here, it's a database, right? Okay, and also here there are a ton of explanations about each service, and it's really good because it forces you to repeat learning and recognizing the items, the architectural icons, and by reading the explanation texts, understanding what they are used for. And it's really fun. A thing I did not try out for myself yet. There are two things. Escape room is one of them. So this by accident also looks like a game, and it is. Yeah, I cannot say really much about this, but it seems to have some elements from the Card Clash game and also from Cloud Quest. So, for example, connecting stuff, connecting statements to services, and so on, and yeah, it also seems to be fun. And I read that your goal is to, as it is in an escape room, to get out of somewhere by doing something with AWS. So have a look at it. And then this is the second thing I did not get my hands on, but it really looks interesting. Is Simulearn. This is so AI is taking up all of the world. So of course you can learn it, you can use it to learn. And basically Simulearn, as it says here, is provides you with generative AI agents that you can talk with. So basically typing and simulating customer situations where you have, as an architect, something to say about AWS services and how to use them. I did not try it out, so this seems to be a great thing. Maybe even for the only for the later parts when you actually got your way around what services used for what situation. Then, mixed in between, there is a new resource, relatively new compared to the old ones or to the other ones. It's provided by me. So at GitHub, you can find one repository that I called the AWS Card Clash library. So the Card Clash was this thing with the moving the service icons around, and I am really happy that they had all of these real world examples and provide the actual architecture for them, because this is what it really boils down. It's one way. So in the Udemy course, you learn about what these services can do, kind of isolated. So of course, Stefan mentions that you can combine services with other services and what the whole use case is for that. But the Card Clash game teaches you best practices and architectures that you really find in the real world. So how to, in this case here, have SQS and SNS, which are queues and notification systems used to how you can use them to kind of glue your services together. And my repository, as you can see here, I redraw these diagrams because I do not want to screenshot AWS content and put it on my repository. This is why I redrew it here with what is it, Draw.io. And then I provide, or this is at least the plan, a Terraform code to make them executable in the form of you can just run the Terraform script, and given the case that you have an actual AWS account and you are connected to it, then it will build this infrastructure into your AWS account. I am very interested in seeing how this works out for the complicated architectures, because at least for when you are building up, for example, databases, it takes ages and it also could cost money. So yeah, I will see how that works out. But this is something that you can just write down to have a look at later. And even now, most of the architectures are already there, at least as an image. All right, so that was really a lot of sources to learn AWS. This is an overview of what to use when. So in short, I think it's a good idea to go with the Cloud Quest. So first of all, Udemy course. This is level 0. Then go with the Cloud Quest and maybe the Card Clash. Simulearn is really something for later, because I guess, I had never used it, but I guess it makes sense to be confident on what services are used for what and how they relate to each other. And at the last step, you could go into practice and do a hands-on with this Card Clash library I provide to actually build these architectures. But maybe this is not really necessary for the cloud practitioner. I also got my cloud practitioner long before starting the library or even having a touch on the Card Clash game itself. And the skill builder, you can use it also for in parallel learning. So the badges are something when you are going back to the original thought that you want to document your knowledge. It's always a good idea to have those badges. For example, on LinkedIn, you can also get badges, but they are, I think, not related to Credly. They are only showing up on LinkedIn. But I mean, if you are interested in the topic, then go ahead and finish them, and then you have something to write a blog post on, and also that you can just link in your profile. The same goes here with the skill builder and the badges. Okay, back to this roadmap for the deepening phase. So the question could be research every open question. How do you actually research those questions? And when you are in the process of learning. This is another great person I want to advertise here is Justin Sung. And I don't get any money from him. Actually, I paid him yesterday and I bought his full course because I'm so astonished, positively minded about his content on YouTube that he provides for free. So who is Justin? So actually, he's a medical doctor, and from what he said, he had a hard time in getting all of this knowledge into his head, and he kind of learned it brute force, and nearly ended with a burnout, I guess. And this is why he came up with, okay, I have to enhance my learning. He did that. He finished his his stuff that you have to finish to be a medical doctor. And then he noticed that he is really good in teaching other people how to learn. And this is why he had a YouTube channel, and also he founded the I Can Study company, I guess, or programming, the program. And this is where you can buy a lot of interesting, or not interesting, you can buy a whole and well-architected course and program to learn how to learn. And it's really individual. So yesterday I took the first steps in this program, and this is seems to be really awesome. But if you are just getting into this topic, then the YouTube channel is yours, and have a look at him. You don't have to pay anything for that. And this is really great. So how and why is he interesting? So as you can see here, this is one of my very first notes when seeing his YouTube channel. And this is how to mind map as a beginner. So I noticed that before, or I said that before, that only learning cards and flashcards, it doesn't bring you much in terms of connecting the concepts in your head. So the brain, I do not want to get too much into this because Justin is really the expert on this, but you have to connect the concepts in your head, and you have to actually get your hands on learning them to memorize them and to be able to retrieve them later. And this begins with taking notes when you are reading stuff or when you are confronted with new stuff, basically what you can call studying, sitting down, reading a book, watching a YouTube video, or some other input. And he is a great fan of mind maps, and I never really used mind maps myself. So I know people who are great in this and drawing nice mind maps from the beginning. And this is not, obviously, this is not what I can do. But he is talking about two mental barriers in creating mind maps. Just want to get briefly into this one because this is the answer of how do you actually deepen your knowledge when you are through with the Udemy course and repeating your Anki cards. So the mental barrier number one is that you are going to write a lot and immediately. So basically you are listening to a YouTube video, or basically you are reading a book, ebook or so, and you read it or you hear the lesson or the YouTube video, and you write all of the time and write. This is not so good. The best thing is to hear, I don't know, a minute or 30 seconds and get to understand the connections between the concepts, and then write only the concepts down and how they relate to each other. So this is basically learning. You don't have to have a full script of what you just heard. And this brings you to these two nice concepts, which is the juggle mode and the organizing mode. So if you are, and I noticed that also when being in chats with other people, so real life chats, what happened before we got Corona. When you are talking to other people and they are talking and talking like I am doing all of the time, and you want to answer, and you have to keep this answer in your head, and maybe then another idea spawns in your head, so you have to juggle the second idea also, and the third and the fourth and so on. And this is kind of juggle mode because the brain is really not made for storing those ideas for a longer time. So you have to, coming back to the learning experience, you have to allow the brain to store those new ideas. Somehow it can later retrieve them. And this is on the right side, the organizing mode. Basically, you take the time when listening to something or reading up on something, organizing it in your head, and then writing down only a small amount of what you would do normally, to remind yourself later on what was that concept all about. But again, this is only very, very superficial. I'm just beginning with this course. The second mental barrier I also noticed that briefly is the amount of text you produce when you are taking notes. Short form is don't write texts. It's better to have only bullet points, but it's even better to have a mind map, because on the mind map you tend to not write so much. As you can see here, I am really at the beginning of this. And also the mind map allows you to connect all of these dots and have a really map. And this is way closer to the brain, how the brain is working. Okay, the same goes for flashcards. So they are useful to repeat stuff that you simply have to learn by heart. So for example, the mentioned S3 storage classes, there is not much of a concept behind that. You have to kind of learn all of these classes. But the problem is that you only have to focus on, or not the problem, the goal is to only focus on this kind of content to go on the flashcards, and not all of your content, because then you end up, as I said, with 100 and more of the flashcards. And this is overwhelming, it's repetitive, it costs a lot of time, and it really demotivates you. And this is where I am now with my 588 flashcards of AWS. This is why I bought Justin's course, and I'm really looking forward to getting rid of all of these cards. All right. So this is how you can enhance your learning. As you can see, I'm in the process as well, and I think it's okay to be in the process of learning to learn for yourself your whole life, when you are trying when you are also finishing your goals. Okay, this brings us to phase 3, the actual exam preparation. So basically you inhaled a lot of knowledge, and you tried to structure it in your head, and you had a lot of notes, took a lot of notes, and now it's time to actually get to the exam and get your certification. And here he is again. Stefan is not only selling the courses that you can buy through to prepare for these certifications. No, he is also selling the practice exams. So the problem with AWS is that the questions that you are confronted with when doing the test for the certification, you cannot find them anywhere in the web, at least not the original questions, because they want them to be kind of fresh when you are first reading them in the actual exam. So they don't give them away. And actually, when you are going to this exam, you have to agree that you don't talk about what's happening in the exam. So what's happening in the exam is staying there. However, for some reason, they kind of allow Stefan to write very similar questions and publish them on the internet, and even take money for that. By the way, the $79.99 here for the course it's also cheaper. So this is the rare instance, and I took a screenshot of this, when stuff is actually costing some kind of money. But to be honest, 80 euros is also kind of not really free, but cheap compared to what a certificate can bring you. All right. So my suggestion is buy this course and go through every test completely and write down what you missed. So this is really supported greatly with Udemy. You can choose between doing a simulated test where you cannot stop in between. So you have to take the whole thing through, and then a kind of free run that you can stop every time and see what's the correct answer and so on. So I did the letter, the second one, and when I got the question wrong, I immediately read through all of the explanations, and there's a ton of explanations in this course. And I updated my flashcards. I took the time to go into more research to understand this, what I did not understand at first. And this is how you should do that too. And this is really time consuming. So this took, I don't know, maybe a third or so of the time it took me to do the actual Udemy course. So it's really some time investment. You do this until you have a solid pass in multiple of those test runs. And 6 practice exams, I mean, the test itself is around, you have 90 minutes time. And if you prepared well, then you really don't need those 90 minutes. By the way, as a foreign speaker, you get, I think, 30 minutes extra. So you have a total of 2 hours. It's doable. It's really doable. Okay. So when you got this solid pass, you go here to the AWS Amazon.com certification page. You sign in with your builder ID and click schedule an exam. This is where I stopped taking screenshots because there is a ton of don't share this with anyone stuff after this button. You basically have 2 options to get certified. There is an online option and an on-site option. The online option means you are sitting in front of your computer and you are using an application on your computer. The second one is on-site, so there is a bunch of test sites all over the world. Amazon has cooperations with companies that build or they have test sites that you can go to and get certified for all kinds of stuff, not just AWS. And they have working places that are audio-wise isolated, and it's silent there, and you can go there. You book that also online, and when you are there, you get a person who is just kind of watching you, that you don't cheat and so on, and you don't have anything to do with the computer that's in front of you are doing your test on, or if this room is appropriate. And this is a good option for you if you have, for example, kids, or if you want to do that, or if you only have the option to do that in the offices. Because when you're doing this online, there is a whole set, as you can see here, of rules involved. So basically, you are installing a software that heavily is involved in stuff on your computer, so it shuts down any application, or at least it will not work after when you are not shutting down applications. It's taking control over a lot of aspects of your computer, and you have to have a webcam that you have to move around the room. You have to take screenshots or pictures of the room that are analyzed by AI and some kind or some person called a proctor that is basically watching you as the person in the on-site facility is, but this is happening over your webcam. And this is why I would not use any company laptop, because sometimes it's hard to shut down every application on the company laptop. The don't eat, don't leave the room stuff. So you are not allowed to leave the room, that I'm relatively sure of. The don't eat, don't drink policy, this seems to have changed lately, so you are allowed to drink something. When I did the exam, it was not allowed. And there was some other weird things. So for example, at one question. So it's a good idea to go through all of the questions. If you are not immediately recognizing the right answers for one question, then you can just mark this question for review later. So it's a good idea to go through all of these questions. And in this last phase of reviewing the questions, I was not really sure about when the first time I was looking at the question and I was like, what could that be? And I just stared in one corner of the room. And of course, I took a screenshot. I took my camera all around the room at the beginning. And then I don't know if it was AI or if it was the proctor. There was a message, please focus on the screen. So maybe you have some kind of, I don't know, beamer there who is displaying the answer. So you really have to be careful with this one. And the last one about this is use the English materials and take the test in English. It's not recommended to do this in any translation because especially in German, it's not all the same. So concepts may have been badly translated, and this makes it harder to get the right answers. All right. So if everything happens or if everything fits, then congratulations for passing the test, hopefully. I wanted to have that on the slides here. You get the result via mail a day or two later. And when you are doing this over the partner networks, the Amazon partner network, this will also take some more time. And it only shows up on Credly also a couple of days later, because you are getting a link and you have to click the link, and then this is the link to Credly when your badge is showing up there. And yeah, this is not immediate. So if you promised someone to have the certification, you should definitely plan some more time for that. Okay, after you got that, it's a good idea to have some marketing for yourself. So, for example, if you use Twitter before, maybe you are using X now, maybe not, then use Mastodon or whatever you want to use, and just throw out in the world that you just got certified. It's always a good idea to have LinkedIn. This is also becoming the #1 social network or business network in Germany now. Crossing is from what I can see, not really existing anymore, or not so strongly anymore. And of course, you should have your Credly page updated and linked somewhere, for example, in your LinkedIn profile or on your personal website. So basically, that was it for the certification part. This was actually your goal. However, I would go one step further. This is what I call phase 4, keep and expand your knowledge, because it actually never is about the exam, right? The exam is only a proof that you have some kind of knowledge, and it is not about the exam. So maybe you get hired or you get a job with the exam, but of course then the work only begins. So you have to keep all of this knowledge in your head and be able to apply it. And this is where another interesting concept comes into play, where your flashcards can actually help you. It's called micro learning, and it basically is what you are maybe using right now. So if you have this updated deck on your smartphone, it's a good idea to use your free time slots, maybe waiting for the bus, maybe sitting in the bus, maybe in between on a working day, sitting in the sun, taking 1, 2, 3 minutes to review some cards. And over time, at least this is what Justin says, around 30 minutes each day you get for free. So learning time. This is the one huge benefit, that you don't actually have to plan or block time in your schedule to learn stuff. At least for the repetition learning, the study part, you have to block this to get new knowledge into your system, but to repeat knowledge that you already have in your system, micro learning is your friend here. And this is really easy with the sync between devices. And also the second great thing about microlearning is that it actually is yields better results than if you just plan 1 hour or these 30 minutes of, okay, now I'm going to go through 100 or so flashcards, because you get tired when doing this in one go. And what you also should do is prepare for the next certification, because hey, you know the drill, and you even get a discount when you get certified, and you do this as a person who so without a company, you get a huge discount, I think 50% or so and it's valid for 3 years or so. By the way, valid, your certification, this is maybe good, maybe not so good, is only valid for 3 years. So it will go bad after 3 years. You get emails before that, and there are several ways to renew your certification. So for example, if you get a certification that is one level above what you are certified now and is somehow connected to it. So for example, the cloud practitioner gets renewed with basically every certification that is above. Maybe about the AI stuff, I'm not so sure about, but it sure gets renewed by the solution architects associate. This is one way of renewing your certifications, and another is to just repeat them. I mean, you have all of the knowledge and you have the infrastructure for that. That's also possible. And if you use all of the tools I showed you in this demonstration, then you can, of course, use them to renew your certifications. What I said earlier is, when I introduced myself, I am a huge fan of sharing your knowledge. So yes, please do that. And being certified is a great way. So please give a talk about what you learned, maybe how you learned it, and what that means for your career, for your everyday working, and what it really was all about. So if you are interested in how you can give technical talks, I recommend you, of course, my book, Develop on the Stage is the name. And there you find everything to prepare yourself for your first technical or maybe non-technical talk, and even the post-processing of that. So this is kind of a community project. It costs some money, but it's only for the printing and the cost it took me to create this. And it will hopefully help you to share your knowledge and in that deepen your knowledge. By the way, you can, of course, give a talk anytime here in the Tech Dev Circle, because I'm always looking for speakers. And I would give you a free speaker coaching when you decide to do that. So if you think, okay, maybe I have this one topic, maybe it's of interest, and I do not want to have a huge crowd, so maybe begin kind of slowly and in an environment I feel sure and safe in, then you can go here, just write me, and then I can prepare this talk. All right, so this is it. This was Mastering Developer Certifications, and here are also the sources for the images. The rest of the stuff I got from the internet. And thanks for your time. And I'm wishing you good luck in your certifications. And let's do let's do the Q&A round if you have any questions.
Thanks for the insight. I have one question. How long did it take to get through all the needed material? I mean, you made some stuff, some flashcards maybe afterwards that needed after to recall some stuff, but to prepare for certificates, for certification, how long did it take for you?
That's an excellent question. So I really don't know because it stretched over a huge amount of time. I did that over, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months or so, but not full time, of course. So that was always on the side. So let me think. The Udemy course is around 15 hours of video material. I guess I took 2 or 3 times this time to go through it, because I paused often, took screenshots, wrote the notes. So let's say around 40 hours in total. Then and this is the reason why I bought Justin's course. I'm a really bad learner. And this is the first thing that is included in Justin's course is an analysis on what type of learner you are, what is easy, what comes easy to you, and what does not. And this kind of repetitive learning with bad flashcards is really not good for me, but this was the tool I was using all day long. So it took me, I think, twice the time I created them. So let's think 40 hours, then we are at 100 hours. Yeah, maybe give or take 20 extra, so 120 hours or so. That was for the cloud practitioner. It's really long.
So
I know
120 hours for practitioner, for cloud
oh,
practitioner.
yes, but
Okay.
first of all, I know people who skipped through the Udemy course or even didn't do that at all. They, for example, just read up about the topics themselves and they used a fraction of the time. And this is, it's really highly individual what kind of a learner you are and what comes natural to you. If you are, for example, familiar with other topics, so if you are experienced in Microsoft Azure and you know all the cloud fundamentals, you know about native cloud computing services and so on, and you just have to learn the translation and the specialties for AWS, then this will take you way less time.
Okay, thanks. And also, how much relevant information for working with AWS from your experience was
Yeah.
that you got through this from learning through this certification?
That's a great question. I'm going to stop the share here because what will that do with the recording? I don't know. I will leave that. It is a lot, a ton, more than a ton. So we did not talk about what you guys are doing for money or for a living. I am a software developer, or at least I was a software developer. Then I became an architect. And when you have, this is my take on that, when you have something to do with any kind of development today, you have to have skills in cloud. There is no way that you get around this. Maybe you are working for a company that only is doing legacy applications. But even then, I know that there are huge movements to migrate this to a cloud environment. And then you are back at the cloud environment. You have to at least know how can I migrate my on-site applications into the cloud. And then we are talking about lift and shift. We are talking about the 7 Rs, how to refactor, how to migrate, and so on. So it is really a good investment to get into cloud in general. Then the next question is, what cloud? If you are working for an employer that is, for example, heavily Azure certified or is doing a lot of Microsoft stuff, it is providing you with a lot of resources for learning and opportunities to use this learned stuff, then it obviously makes sense to get in this direction. Google is kind of not so known, at least here in Germany. It's not so known, not so used. At least here in Germany, it's either Azure or AWS. And I would always go with AWS because Azure is. So I'm not an Azure expert, but my feeling is that Azure is always lagging behind and is doing is kind of emulating what AWS does, slower and not so great. And AWS is simply the go-to public cloud vendor. And as you can see, it provides you with a lot of material and a lot of free stuff that you can use. So I would first decision is go with cloud in all at all circumstances. Second decision is recommendation AWS, and then you end up with that here. And what also, so coming back to your question, how relevant is this for you as a developer or an architect? The cloud practitioner course given by Stefan provides you with the base knowledge of what is different from when you are doing cloud native programming or cloud native development from the previous way of doing things. And basically, it's nearly everything. And if you are interested, by the way, if you are interested in that, there is a talk. I don't, let me just get some. So if you go here, and if you go to this protocol, so it's kind of a set of notes and what has been here before at the Tech Dev Circle. So if you scroll down, you can see all of the previous topics here, and there's really everything. And lately, I took the time and effort, a lot of effort, to make those YouTube videos. And as you can see here, 2 months ago, there is 1 month ago, I had a talk with my colleague Ludger, and I'm really thinking about, is this in Germany or was this in English? Maybe this was in German, but maybe you can skip through the slide deck, because I'm pretty sure that this was in English. And this will give you an overview about cloud native development and what aspects are different from non-cloud native development. And there you will learn that this is really a good thing to invest your time in cloud. And after having a look at this, you can go to Stefan Marek, at least at most 13 euros or so, and go to the cloud practitioner. Does that answer your question? Sorry for the long monologue.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice. All right. Any more questions?
I do have one.
Yes.
So first, thanks for the presentation. It was really insightful and interesting. Made me understand this whole landscape a lot better. So when you were talking about your Enki card deck and using even screenshots from the actual AWS UI, do you find yourself constantly updating those screenshots? Are they changing their UIs a lot, or is it kind of stable and you don't need to invest a lot of time in updating the card deck?
Yeah, excellent question and really relevant question, because they did that some time ago and it was a mess, at least in parts for me. A couple of months back, I always said, okay, AWS is really bad in UI UX stuff, because the web console, it really looks like, okay, you have a bunch of developers that are passionate about developing, and then they made some kind of UI around that. So it was really ugly, and you could not find stuff, and it was really not so good. Then they had, I think, a wave of refactoring of this UI, and there was a time when you could choose between the old and the new way of looking, and now it's only the new way, I guess. I'm not sure. I immediately got to the new version, which led to I couldn't find anything in specific services, but that's always the case. So I don't expect them to change those UIs very often. This was one huge refactoring they did, and it didn't cover all services. So some stayed the same, and it is really not that important. And also, these images, they are not for remembering, okay, there is this service, and then you have a list here that has those items, and the third item is this, what I'm searching for. It's more of, yes, that was the one with this huge diagram, or, yes, okay, when I'm creating, as I said, for example, Lambda is a good example. When having a Lambda, or when modifying, editing a Lambda, you have this unique screen with this Lambda on top, and then there is some ingoing and outgoing visualization, and then there's a text box on the bottom for your programming code. And when you are familiar, when you wrote at least one Lambda, you don't need this image anymore. You immediately recognize, okay, this was what Lambda was for. But when you the stage before that, when you did not get your hands on it and you are overwhelmed by the over 200 or 300 services by AWS, and you just have to have a clue, okay, what was Lambda all about? Ah, yes, this one, because there is stuff incoming, then this processing made by this code, and then there is outgoing on the other side. Ah, okay, this was what that was all about. So short answer, no, not updating very often.
Cool, thank you.
Nice. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask about was about certifications expiring, but you already addressed that. So
Yeah.
because every single certification I have met so far have this one thing in common, namely that they do expire after a certain time. And I was curious about how renewing or getting recertified by AWS works, but you told about that, so thanks.
Yeah. But adding an interesting factoid to that thing of recertification, this game, this CloudQuest game, they actually had a test run. When was it? It was this year, and it was up until March or up until February that you could recertify by playing this CloudQuest game. So this CloudQuest game has several landscapes or levels. For example, the first one is, of course, the cloud practitioner. And the idea is if you finish this area, so there's a map of the city, and there's each part of the city has a different focus. For example, serverless and networking and the cloud practitioner city. And when you got all of the tasks finished in the cloud practitioner and had a new relatively complex tasks that you had to do in a lab environment, so you have to set up a network and some kind of links weren't correct, so you have to fix them and so on. But it was all guided and explained to you, so it was not really difficult. And when you did the complete city tasks and this new bonus task, complex bonus task, then you had your recertification. And they said that was just a test for if it's going well and if it's working and if people are interested in that. And I can definitely think of that this is, at least for the cloud practitioner, maybe even for the AI practitioner, a way for the future. I really hope so, because it is more to the actual everyday life of a developer, because you don't have to go somewhere to take a test, but you have the option to play this CloudQuest game 1 hour a day, and after 2 weeks or so you have all of the levels complete. Then you take 3 extra hours or 2 to get this complex task done, and then, from my opinion, you demonstrated that you know this stuff way better than in one sitting of a test or an exam. So hopefully they are the same. They have the same opinion about this.
Okay.
Right. Yes, but thanks so much for your questions and your time. So I'm going to stop the recording now and officially end the event, but I'm going to stay here. So if you are interested, let's have a little chat more, or maybe ask more questions. And again, thank you so much. As you can see here, the next event will take place in about a month. This is planned as a German event, though. I will invest some time to make that clear, but on the other side, it's this German text. So I will also, thanks for your input for that one, try to add more English content here. And do we have more English content coming up? Yeah, maybe this can also be in English, or this one here. Yeah, so stay up to date what the work page is all about. Here you have how can you stay up to date? So there is an Atom feed here. There's a Mastodon, what is it called? An account there that you can follow, and kind of hidden there is a newsletter here, or at the bottom of this page, that you can just enter your email, and then you get an update mail. And of course, you can use the meetup again, just as a reminder. If you are rating, then please, you can rate whatever whatever you want. It's really of no concern for me. But if something bad was happening today, let me know so that I can fix it for later events. And with that, again, thank you and have a nice evening.